Tell us about your squad. We saw a little bit of training earlier. No Antonio Rudiger. Is he out? And where do things stand with Callum Hudson-Odoi, N'Golo Kante and Reece James?
Tony's injured. He's bothered a small groin problem that he's been carrying for the last couple of weeks at the weekend, so he's out. We'll have a scan later today and see where he's at, hopefully not long term. And the other three you mentioned are all fit but not match fit still. So Callum getting extra work in along with Reece, played in the 23s. They may have another game in the 23s in them before they're ready for first team action. And N'Golo similarly, not to play 23s, but he'll have more training to do just because the injury's been bothering him a bit.
Everybody else okay?
Yeah.
Tammy obviously scored a hat-trick at the weekend. He's now got 7 goals in 5 matches in the Premier League. In some respects, has he exceeded even your expectations?
Well, I never had clear expectations for him. Only the fact that I believed in him and trusted him. And I know a lot's been made of the ban giving young players potential opportunities, but I felt the time was right for Tammy to have his opportunity at this club anyway because of the quality he's got. So I'm really delighted that he's got his goals. I think there's even more to come. So he's in a good place. He's in a place that now just requires him to sustain and improve even more. And I think with his mentality every day and the way he is, I hope to see that.
With Tammy scoring at the weekend, there's the question over his international future has again come up. Can England afford to let someone like Tammy slip through the net?
It's not a question for me. Yeah. You can translate that quickly, can't you? It's
someone who played for more than 100 times for England.
I've just spoken about how I feel about Tammy. So obviously he's putting himself in a bracket for England by being top goal scorer at this point. So it's one that Gareth is one for Gareth. You know, I'd hate to step on his toes, but it's clear what Tammy's doing that he's going to be wanted.
This club, European football means a lot, but Champions League football means so much more after 2012, which of course you were captain when you lifted the trophy. Just give us an idea of what tomorrow will mean for you, your first ever game managing the Champions League.
Well, I'll be proud to do it because, as you said, I had multiple incredible nights in the Champions League and some bad ones. But it is the ultimate in club football for me in terms of competitive club football. And there's something about nights at Stamford Bridge. There's something about the Champions League music. There's memories that I have and we have here as Chelsea people. And I want to experience it on this side of the fence. So I'll be proud to take the team out. But of course, very aware that what matters is results. What matters is starting the group well against tough opposition. But yeah, I am excited.
The atmosphere at the Bridge, obviously, on these nights can be really special. I was going to mention the Liverpool game, which probably was the most you scored in that game, the most emotional night you've ever had as a player.
Yeah, without a doubt, a very emotional night, and emotional on a personal level. And I didn't need an extra bond with Chelsea and the club, but what happened on that night for me with my teammates and the fans in the stadium, etc., on such a huge game for the club, is something that kicked everything on for me in terms of how I feel about this club. So that's maybe the magic of the Champions League.
Right, have you spoken to Tammy and the other young players about what different challenges they'll face in the Champions League? And what do you think is the main difference between playing the league and then playing in Europe?
I haven't actually spoken to them in detail on that. We're meeting up tonight in a hotel, so we'll have plenty of time to prepare, and it may be certainly worth a word or two because it is different in its nature. And I would say the main thing that I found as a player particularly was that your concentration and focus levels throughout every game have to be absolutely spot on. Not to say you can get away with things in the Premier League, but the higher level of player in the Champions League, the different style of game that can sometimes surprise you, and teams that travel for this game that are fantastic on the counter-attack and can hurt you in 1 second when you feel like you're controlling a game. So it will probably be that focus throughout will be the main point.
Frank, SNTV, I'm sure you're aware about what happened with Valencia last week with the coach being sacked. There is a huge turmoil right now at Valencia, and it seems that the players today are not going to talk during the press conference as a protest for what happened with Barcelona. Under your point of view as a coach, how will you recover your players to be able to perform? And do you think Valencia under the current circumstances, they can do something, they can be a team that could put Chelsea into big trouble? Thank you.
I'm aware of what's going on, but at the same time, it doesn't affect our approach and my approach in terms of we're going up against a team that have fantastic quality. What I will say is that my experience of moments like this, and every moment is different, but when there is an issue as a collective, as a team, a group against the media, against the outside world, generally it makes a group tighter as players, and sometimes it can be a positive as much as a negative on the pitch. So I'm not going to think too much about it, but we are certainly be ready for a team that, even if they have their issues off the pitch with the media, will be very determined to come here and do well. So yeah, I draw a line on that and just focus more on what they can do on the pitch.
Do you think the players denying not to talk in the press conference, do you think this kind of behavior is good for the team? Do you think is worthy what they're doing? What is your point of view?
I think you need to know all the details. I've been in similar situations, and I'm not going to stand here and say what they should or shouldn't do without knowing the details or how they feel. I understand where you're going, but it's not for me to declare that.
Normally, Frank, we'd be expecting Chelsea and putting pressure on Chelsea to reach the latter stages of the Champions League most season. Obviously, the pressure doesn't feel quite the same because of all the circumstances. But do you have any targets at the start of the competition, or do you have to wait to see how some of the players you've got who've never played in it adapt before you can set targets?
I think the target is clearly to qualify for the group. It's a tough group, but I have enough belief in the players that have been here and played in it, and the younger players who are at the moment in good form and I think have talent that will hopefully blossom in the Champions League as we go along. So yeah, as a player I always thought the same. It's two parts. It's the group part pre-Christmas. I have belief that we can get through, but we have to be aware it's tough. And once you get through, if you get through, then it's up for grabs in the next part of the year. So no, I'm confident as we should be, but very aware of the dangers in a tough group.
Don't know if you saw the Valencia game against Barcelona in the Camp Nou at the weekend. Are you expecting a similar sort of team from them, and what kind of performance are you expecting from Valencia tomorrow?
I did see the match, and it's not always easy to analyse a game against Barcelona because they have a particular style which makes it very difficult for everybody, not just Valencia. But I've also analysed more games. It's sometimes slightly difficult when a manager changes because you're possibly waiting for a change of style. I didn't really see that at the weekend in terms of how they set up. And I expect similar, which is a team that are very, very organised and hard to break down, and a team, as I mentioned, that can be very dangerous on the counter-attack, particularly with the two strikers and their wide players. So, yeah, I expect them similar, and I expect a tough match.